Welcome back to TechDays Online, live from the Excel in London. My name is Damien Flynn. I'm an MVP on the Cloud and Data Center team, and with me this afternoon I've got Simon Skinner, who's also a Cloud and Data Center MVP.
Hi Damien, how you doing?
Not so bad, Simon. Simon, you're going to talk to us today a little bit about Bridgeways, the company you've work for, and how you've utilized Microsoft's CRM-based technologies to improve your business processes and flows.
Yeah, that's correct, Damien. And in fact, just so everyone knows, I'm really not an expert in CRM Dynamics, but I feel like I'm getting that way because we resolved a lot of our problems that we had with inside CRM Dynamics.
Okay, because you had me a little bit confused because Cloud and Data Center has definitely not got a lot to do with CRM. You've been a SCOM guy as long as I've known you.
Yeah.
So this is definitely...
That's because we monitor the CRM.
Okay, that's fair enough. So tell me a little bit about how you got involved in CRM in the first place and why that became part of your life.
Well, when I took on this role, I think everybody sort of knew that it was a company in sort of chaos, and we needed to find a way to be able to resolve that chaos.
Yeah.
Part of that chaos was the fact that it was a dispersed team of people, so we needed to get all of our information into one place. But the key factor is we needed everyone to say the same information that was correct, opposed to their own version of the story. So in some respects, CRM was like a crib sheet, because we just say, right, there it is, use that, you don't need to think so much.
Okay.
Okay, and that was a really, really good start for us.
Right, so this kind of got back to the point of, back in the day, if I was using Bridgeway services, if I wanted to buy a product, depending on who I spoke to, I could get a better price because they may have had a different version of what they were thinking about. Or
fundamentally, you were lucky if you actually got to speak to anyone at all.
Okay.
So we resolved that problem as well, and I'll show you how we got around that problem.
Right, okay.
With the CRM as well.
Okay, so take us through a little bit of what you're going to help us cover.
Okay, so what are we going to learn today? So how CRM Dynamics will take care of your repetitive duties. So on a daily basis, things happen various times. It's like we come from data center, so we use runbooks.
Yes, of course.
To do, and we're using similar things, similar processes within the CRM to take care of those repetitive tasks.
Right, okay.
So people don't need to think about it, people won't forget about it, and the client gets what they need.
So they feel the follow-up and they feel they're being taken care of as a customer.
So I also want to share information about a client internally. It's not something that a client should be worried about for like a security point, but I want to make sure that when we're dealing with a client, we know what the last conversation was. And if I've got someone in Canada and another guy in Austria, they got the information into one place so we can follow on.
Right, so because my last company was also a geo-dispersed company, so I'm based here in Ireland and my team were in Boston, so if we rang Bridgeways, we could end up talking to different people and getting two different sides of a story. So now essentially with this technology, we're in a scenario that it doesn't matter who rings and who we speak to, we're always going to be on the same page.
That is that was the goal, and it works out quite well. So another thing is getting people to do work. Sometimes getting people to do stuff. So what we decided to do is actually get our clients to do some of the work for us.
That's a
yeah.
I like that.
And that went down really, really well with people. They were like, oh, that's good. But at the same time, we actually got more accurate information. I'm going to show you that in a demonstration a little bit later on. Telling the client something has happened. Okay, so something doesn't fall on deaf ears. Forget Bridgeways. I inherently hate going to a website, doing something which takes up a little bit of my time, then I don't know if anything happened.
Right.
I want something back for my effort.
Yep.
And this is something I really wanted to make sure that we did at Bridgeways. We say, yeah, we got it. We're on top of it. We're going to deal with that. But then Power BI really became a big part of our, or at least for my day to day, because I want to get a good high level view of what's going on. Okay. Power BI has got some absolutely amazing templates. I'd like to say that I wrote them all myself, but I didn't. But it's a click, 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 and I get really, really good information about my CRM that gets updated every 24 hours.
You'll give us a view of some of that type of information.
I certainly will do, yeah. Live from my mobile, we all live with our mobiles. In fact, I was on a ferry the other day looking up some info on the CRM, and this guy goes, everyone's got their phones in faces or faces in phones. But I was actually looking up to see what was going on before I went out of contact on this ferry, you know.
Right.
So with my Microsoft phone, I could get that application. Oddly enough, and I'm not too sure how well it's publicised, but it works with Cortana. So you can connect Cortana to your CRM, so you can actually just talk to Cortana to get information back.
So your face is not on the phone, you're actually speaking.
I'm actually speaking on the phone, which is
Okay.
what the phone was designed for.
Absolutely.
And another key thing I needed to do was get my pricing and discounts correct every time. So I wanted to make sure that the client was always going to get the right price, but if that client had a deal that was multiples of something, there would be a discount. No one would need to think about that. It would just happen.
It would just happen. So essentially, what you're saying here is CRM is becoming a team, a virtual team, making things organized within the company so that we now have a process and a flow that works end to end, and a layer that gives a management view on exactly what's happening. And you've always got the confidence that CRM is doing its job for you.
But it's like a crib sheet. And now my team kind of rely on that because they're like, I don't need to remember everything all the time. If I need that information, I can retrieve that information.
Right, okay.
If the management wants to make a change, they'll make a change, and then the next time a salesperson utilises that, they'll just see that change.
Change will represent. Okay.
So I've got a quick sort of diagram here of how we sort of Bridgeways. So I have my business. I have product teams, I have a finance team, I have a sales team, I have managers, and I have a support call team as well. And this was kind of a really, really cool part of CRM for us because we were inherently really bad at doing any kind of support. It was a bit of a good luck kind of scenario. But now, if there's a support call, because it's all held inside the CRM and we have a case, it means that before a salesperson goes to speak to a client, they can open up that account and they can see if there's any support calls on there or any cases. You know, they can see what's going on because all the information's into one place. So and that can come, you know, really handy. You could be treading on eggshells, or you could be saying, "Hey, that was great what we did for you." You know, it gives you that. Almost like a start for the conversation.
Right, you've got a context. As soon as you pick up the phone, you know who you're speaking to, and you know that you've resolved an issue for them a week ago, or that they have a current issue, so you can approach the sales or the support as necessary.
Right, exactly right, absolutely. So in the Microsoft Cloud, we have all these tools, and OneDrive, for example, who uses OneDrive? We do. We use it a lot now because we store contracts, documents of our clients. You don't store it into SharePoint, into CRM. It looks like you are, but in fact they're in OneDrive. We're using Outlook Web Access, people on the move, on their phones, but the CRM now works on Outlook Web Access as well.
Okay.
So the same with Link. We've integrated it with Link so people can IM. They can also do that through Yammer as well. CRM has a great feed into Yammer, so whatever is going on in Yammer, we can then display it, and it's again conversational points for interest for a client. We can.
Right. Okay.
And SharePoint, it's all an integral part of the CRM, and the good thing is that kind of like Microsoft Office in the cloud is one of those products which you can more or less confidently say, if you don't buy Office 365, you're an idiot.
Right, okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
So, because everything is just integrated there for you. So when I have the CRM, it integrates with my SharePoint. I don't need to worry about it. It integrates with Link. I don't need to worry about that. It integrates with Yammer. I just say I want it to,
right,
and
so
it just does it.
To do it, and then it's done essentially. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And sometimes Microsoft do a really, really good job of telling you about things that are useless, and then they do a really, really good job of not telling you about things that are really, really important. And they released something which I found next to nothing on the internet, was you can actually restore your CRM data. So if you make a mistake or you're worried about your data, you can actually go to the Office 365 portal and it will store, I think it's 5 days worth of data, and you can restore back to any one of those points if need be.
Right, okay.
So now I've got all this data into the cloud, I know I can restore it,
Right,
which is kind of a good feeling.
Yeah, so that means then if you've got an upset employee that decides I don't want to deal with that particular customer, and he makes a mistake and maybe destroys the records, you now can go back in and administratively restore it again.
We had those, but we don't anymore.
Okay, fantastic.
But we can restore. We never had that problem. And also it will integrate. We have Active Directory integration into the cloud and into Azure. So everything's like SSO. So it's when you log on to our dev servers or onto TFS or into the cloud, it's just the one username and password.
Right, of course. And as you move up and maybe even look at the security suite, then everything's going to be tracked as well back to that same user.
Right, and we're not going to go into it now, but there's things called Office 365 groups, and then you can start sharing information in your CRM with your clients,
Right.
or partners. So partners can report into your CRM, but only see very limited amount of data, but you can see what they're doing and what progress they're making.
Very good, okay.
It's actually a pretty cool technology. But where is my business? My business is out in the cloud. It's my clients. Still at Bridgeways, we have a good but small sales team. They're in the US, they're in the UK, so I get a call from Australia. That's going to present a problem to me, because where are my clients? We're a global software company, as pretty much anyone is nowadays. You're just global by default. As soon as you're in the cloud. So now, when someone goes to my website and they fill out a form, something's going to happen. They're going to see something happen, and we're going to look at that right now. So, get the client to do the work for you. How do we do that? Now, I'm actually using an add-on from a company called Power Objects.
Okay.
It's a ludicrously cheap product. So I can create a web form, which I've got on the left-hand side of the screen here. Now I can inject this into any web page. I've kind of cleaned it up a little bit with some CSS, but I have a form. So then I put that form onto my web page.
Okay, so that's like your contact us form, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Or you can get kind of smart at it and have one per product. So then when it arrives in your CRM, you know exactly what products it's for.
Okay.
All right. And then we're going to do some more clever stuff, and we'll talk about that in the next slide. So as I've got the client to actually fill out that information for me, it then goes into my CRM directly without us doing anything.
Right. And that leaves you in a scenario as well then, if you've got the browser that comes in and he fills in false information, you'll see it in your CRM, but you'll be able to filter through that on your follow-up processes and just clean up your database and keep it clean too.
Typically people know their own name as well, so we don't have any kind of misspellings, so all that information is there. And another thing which I don't know if people take into consideration, but on our country we have a drop-down list and we tell you what country options there are.
Right.
Because when we tried to work out demographics of where our sales were, we would then have a problem that it's in the US, it's in the USA, it's in North America, it's in America. So it actually makes it really hard to do some
to
normalize the data.
Right, okay.
So from the outside, we're not giving the client an option.
Right, okay, and you probably can take that as well and help to make sure that the telephone number, for example, is also internationalized or normalized.
We don't do that, but you could do that.
Okay.
You could do that, yes. But what we do is we check the email address.
Right, okay, so make sure it's not a false mail and bounce back or something.
Or specifically, it's not like a Gmail or a live one, because that inherently could cause problems, because the way CRM works is on domain names.
Okay.
So the way everyone works for Microsoft at live.com, for example. So,
Gotcha.
But I've now got that information inside my CRM, and then I just follow on the process. I don't want to go into the whole processes of CRM. However, I did get the client to do that for me, but the client's unaware of that.
Yeah, of course.
And then I now can kick off that process. So what happens when someone fills out this form? And as I was saying to you earlier, I want to know something happened.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
So, and Damien, yours and my background is all about processes and automation. And we can do exactly the same inside a CRM.
Right.
I can't believe I didn't turn my phone off.
You were told to as well, Simon.
I was told to. So here we got this web form activity. So what happens is someone fills out that form and immediately it sends them an email.
Right.
Okay. So it goes out, it says, thanks for completing out your web form. Here's the product link for downloading your software. Here's your key. You're all set. Get going.
Right.
Okay. So immediately that client's ready to go. So if they're in Australia, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. They don't feel like they have to wait for you to wake up in the UK and actually sends the actual product key to them and acknowledge the fact that they've signed in. You've automatically dispersed that to them and they can start moving.
Absolutely.
Right, okay.
Now, I'm not too sure if it's very clear on the top, but I've got an if statement. So it says, if the web form activity contains my Azure app, then do something, send an email. So we have 11 core products. So then I have a form for each product.
Right, okay.
So then I know that I'm going to send the right information back to the client, and not a generic thing, but an actual piece of information.
So what we're looking at here on the left-hand side really is your business process just put into essentially a programmatic format so that we can make decisions. If you've got it for this particular product, then do these particular steps. And I can see here you're saying you're going to wait 2 days and then do a follow-up and stuff. So you're actually taking that process that you sat down and worked with your team and essentially having CRM do that work for you.
That's exactly right, because I don't want people to think, oh, I should have contacted that person, because it's a task we can take care of.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, and people are just generally too busy to do stuff. So I can say, wait, and then I'm going to do it again. I'm going to say, let's wait 10 days, but I'm going to send another email. But we're not going to send an email saying, buy this. I'm going to send you an email that say, did you know if you do this in this software, you can get this result and save yourself money or whatever.
Okay.
Helpful one. And then I'm going to have one at the end that say, yeah, it's going to run out, you know, where do you want to go from there, etc. But where I can do, which is really cool, is I can see what's happened to these emails. Okay, so there's another add-on you can use with Power Objects with inside the CRM, so I can actually see if the client opened that email.
Okay, so you're basically hiding an image or something, and then you're looking to see if that image has been picked up again on the far side, right? And that comes back into the CRM, so you can see.
Come back into my CRM.
Okay.
So then we score that.
Yeah.
Okay. So we score that. So then we have tire kickers and we have real prospects.
So you're also looking at how fast as well. So if he's opened it within a few minutes of you sending it, then you know he must be kind of eager and waiting for your mail. Or if he's taken a day or two, you're on his to-do list, but you're not the priority on his list.
But the CRM is going to continue to communicate with them.
Right, okay. And then if he decides to communicate out of bands, then of course that's going to come back and CRM is going to catch that as well.
Absolutely. And it's just going to put that down into the account, the opportunity, and all of that communications there.
Right, okay. Fantastic.
But essentially it means that we can become more efficient internally.
Yeah.
The client knows what's going on. We're communicating. They have options. Or they have the option to do nothing. They can just continue, or they can do absolutely nothing. But then we know that by their interaction of what they've done with their emails.
Yeah. So you kind of can judge during your 14-day period if these users are going to be hot or cold, depending on the fact that if you've opened or closed the mails and stuff. And as you said, that's in CRM, so you can then use your analytics later on to actually see.
Exactly.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
I understand.
Another task we have is actually getting. I need good information and I need it quickly. There's a free add-on with inside CRM that's supplied by Microsoft. It's called Insights. The thing's absolutely amazing. So I can go and look up a company. For example, I've looked up Apple here, and I can see what their revenue was, how many employees they got, who's they're owned by, all the key contacts. I can see all the job functions. I've got all this information that's being brought in from Insights.
Okay.
And learn about that company. This is a potential client, so I want to know about that client. I want to know if they're as much as information is always good for our sales process. But up in the just under where it says need good, it says add to CRM. So I click that button and it will automatically go off and create an account with all of the information in there for me, and even puts their own logo in. So we don't have to do anything. Insights has done that whole process for us.
Okay.
And I know the information's accurate, and I know that I don't have a typo, or I know it's good information.
That's brilliant, because that goes back to when you're filling in the form. A lot of times you've got to ask that question: what industry is your organisation in? So you're skipping that whole silly question, because the pillars are always different depending on whose form you're filling in anyways, and you've got that insight straight here, and to say, okay, these guys look like they might be somebody that we're worth focusing on, or I have a team that are focused on delivering to health services or to technology companies, and get the right people in place.
Exactly.
Okay.
And just recently we had something that one of our sales guys picked up. Was we were dealing with a company, and then another company came along, and we didn't associate the two companies in any way, but Insights told us one was a subsidiary of the other.
Oh wow, okay, that's very cool. Yes, that's excellent.
And that would have been information that we would have probably missed.
Right, yes.
So it's good, cool information. What I'm going to try and do now is bring on some web pages with a bit of luck, and this is where it always gets scary, isn't it? We'll try and bring that over.
Switching over to the right screen.
Over here, there we go. So let's have a look here. So I've actually want to go into here. So when I go to my CRM, it has all these activity social dashboards, and off the bat you think they're really good. That's, you know, I can see what my forecast is. This is a sandbox version. When you use Microsoft Office Online, you can have a production and a sandbox,
Okay.
Which you can erase and start up again as often as you want.
Right.
But it's a good area for us to mess
Test
about
these
and test.
integrations and figure out your flows before you bring them into production and start actually
Correctly.
sending mails to the real users.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So when I looked at this, I thought, oh, that's pretty good. You know, I can see some good information there. Then I started to get into this product called Power BI, and Power BI was just power, right? It's just really named correctly. I got business intelligence, and it was an awesome amount of power. So this is a demo for sales. So I can see how my sales is doing, my performance, my sales leaderboard, for example, and, you know, win-loss analysis. So when we sell a product, if we lose it, we want to know why.
Right. Okay.
Okay, because we don't want to make the same mistake twice. To win is great, but to lose, I need to know more.
Okay. Of course. Yes.
So now I can look here, I can have a look at what my win-loss analysis was. Was there any trends in there, anything I need to learn? We're continuously learning. We hear it all the time about machine learning, but actually we're people learning.
Right. Okay.
CRM Dynamics is helping us people learn, and, you know, for people to become more educated in what they're doing. And I can do sales pipelines, etc., and I can work out which country it's all come from. But all this information is coming directly from my CRM, which is a very verbose product.
That data really.
Yeah.
Lots of text.
And then here, it's almost a joy to look at that, to give to an investor of a company or something and say, this is where we are. Now, oddly enough, Power BI helped very much for us in the confidence of our investors, because they could see change happening.
Right. Okay. Of course, they could see the trends starting to change around from what was on paper before you actually introduced CRM, and now you've got a dashboard that is starting to, I suppose, mature and fill out as you put more information in and learn your processes and get the system working.
Yeah, right. And it's not someone making the data up. In effect,
right, okay.
it's
this
there.
Is real data.
Yeah, this is kind of real data. So
confidence level in there at that point as
absolutely,
well. Right. Okay.
Absolutely. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, and we discovered this at Bridgeways, it doesn't have to be a win-win all the time. It can be we made a mistake. We need to learn by that.
And there's consistency in the data, so when I come back and look at it in 3 months' time and in 6 months' time and in 9 months' time, I can see that consistency, which makes it clear to me then that yes, we did make a mistake, and yes, we've learned from it, or no, we definitely learned we've got a problem.
Right, exactly.
Right, okay.
But I can also go to my, I now drive all of my support through CRM.
Okay.
So in here I can see how many, well this is demos, but I can see what support cases I've got incoming, my cases, etc. I've got all this information in one place. So I can see how my support is performing.
Right.
And really one of the massive things I wanted to do at Bridgeways was to sort out the support. CRM actually helped me do that. Because before you can fix something, you've got to have vision of what it is.
That's broken.
Yeah.
Of course, yes.
You need to be able to see what it is, and this was a great way of seeing what it was.
Fantastic. So in the interest of time, those dashboards they're an insight, obviously, into how the business runs. How difficult were they to pull together to make work for your CRM?
I really want to tell you it was difficult, but I went to the bottom left-hand corner. It says Get Data. You select the data. There's a widget for CRM. You do have to remember your username and password for Office 365.
That is so hard. So tough.
But after that, it just did it.
Okay, and of course then being Power BI, you can customize and add more if you have new ideas, add another view and
that's absolutely
back
right,
into
yeah.
the environment.
And as we heard, because actually I set up my phone to ring me to remind me that I can get my Power BI on my mobile phone. So I can get all of this information on my mobile phone
Right,
as well.
okay.
So I've got my CRM and I've got my Power BI, and I know exactly what's going on with all of my support via my mobile phone.
So CRM has essentially turned Bridgeways around to be an organised engine with a very clear management view.
It's helped us understand what our problems were, how we improve, when we improve, what the outcome of that improvement was, and really allow us to take, I think it's fair to say, a fairly chaotic and unorganised organisation, but now make it into something where people have just fallen into this system. It became easy. I've used this phrase quite a few times, and I want to use it more and more, but intellectual laziness.
Intellectual laziness. There's a new catchphrase for today.
In here, I just wanted to oh, we're actually running out of time. There was one more dashboard here. So this is another dashboard inside the CRM, and I can have a look at what my active cases are, my resolved draft emails, my activities, because I have an activity, but I need to remember what it is. I can do that from all inside this dashboard.
Oh, okay.
But I can drop this down and go to my Tier 2 dashboard. Then all of a sudden I can see what's going on with support.
Wow.
I can see it all in one place. These are all clickable, so I could actually click this and it will open up what my activities are, what my phone calls are, etc. But I've got everything I need in the one place.
That's excellent.
So I think we were getting the nod for...
The nod to wrap up, yeah, for sure. That's really interesting, Simon. Thank you. It was a really good insight into how to use something like CRM to help improve a business process that essentially was broken and now has a tool to help not only fix it, but to excel and grow the business.
Right. I mean, we can honestly say that it works because we were broken and now we're not.
That's fantastic. Simon, thank you very much for going through this with us and for the honesty about your processes.
Well, yeah, but it's a good experience. We can't hide the facts.
Nope.
Power BI doesn't hide facts.
No, it certainly doesn't. Thank you.
Thank you.